sometimes you are just attracted to some work of art, and then you give them a value because of that. So I think it's really what we were saying. If you can put your energy, your true energy in what you're doing, at some point that thing is gonna sell.
Hey, it's Samantha Hartley of the Profitable Joyful Consulting Podcast. This season, we are talking about money. And today I wanted to talk about art and commerce, creativity and passion, and how you bring these things that feel spiritual and close to our hearts and almost holy, very precious, and bringing them into business where there is money. And is it okay to do that? Is it okay for artists to make money? Is it okay for you to be creative and make tons of money doing so? When is that a problem? For whom is that a problem? And how do we resolve that? I'm very much about passion fueling your work and bringing your heart into your work. It's profitable and joyful. And the joy part very often is connected to, walking our spiritual path through our business or bringing our gifts, like our God-given gifts and talents, into the world through our business and making profit, right? Making tons and tons of money on that, as much as you can allow in. That's how much I want you to make on it. So that's not easy for everyone, as I've learned. And I've done a lot of work on it myself, and I don't really just feel gummed up about it. Like, I feel excited about bringing in money, and I do feel that my passion and my heart is in my work. And as you heard about in the Passion Project episode at the beginning of the season, I don't always feel that passion always has to be monetized. But if you choose to follow your passions and you choose to sell something related to that, whether that's art or the result of your work, then I want you to profit from it. And I want you to feel okay about that. So today we're going to have a discussion about just these topics. Like, how do you bring your heart into your business? And is it okay to make money off of it? In the fall of last year, I really had the funnest time following really one of my passions. A couple of years before, I'd bought these cards, a card deck, which was to help you to get in touch with your intuition. And they're very closely related to tarot cards, but not tarot cards. And they were created by a graphic designer and artist in Italy named Matteo di Pascale. And he, like me, is a lifelong tarot reader and wanted to create some cards that would help people to get in touch with their intuition. And when he did, he began to sell it. He couldn't sell it through regular publishing houses. And so he decided to create his own publishing company, which is a very entrepreneurial thing to do. And since then has created more and more decks and now has a business. So I wanted to hear a little of that evolution of the idea of the cards through to the idea of a publishing company, and how he is now reconciling and making a place for art and commerce in his life. He's working on a novel, and he partners in his business with Andrea Binasco, who is a childhood friend of his since they were both 13 years old. And Andrea is also a university professor. And when they taught the course, Andrea taught some and Matteo taught some. And we had an international community of people from around the world who want to learn how to tap into their intuition better and maybe even use these cards in facilitating creativity and creative conversations in their work. And I loved it. I felt so passionate about it that I wanted to have a conversation with them and share it with you. And so that is what you're going to hear today. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. And I want you to follow your passion wherever it may lead you. And if you choose to monetize it, may that be profitable. Enjoy this conversation. So tell me a little bit about how you came together, how Sefirot was born as a company, and how you came together as business partners.
Okay, nice one. So we've known since high school. So I mean, we were friends,
wow.
And we also lived together during university for a couple of years. Then, I was studying design, he was studying literature. Then we split cities, but we kept in touch. We were friends all the time. And at some point, we decided to make some tools together. Okay, so I already made Intùiti in 2013, and then a couple of years later, we decided to come up with the idea of Fabula, so to mix design and literature.
Yeah, because exactly they were our two passions, and we decided to put them together. And that was beautiful. At the beginning, it was just like a side project. So we were going on with our life. I was teaching. He was doing the UX designer. And then we had this little side project. And then it became bigger and bigger. We knew that people liked it. So we opened up Sefirot.
Yeah, the funny thing is that we made several projects. They were successful on Kickstarter, but then we actually wanted to be authors, so we didn't want to be entrepreneurs at the time. But we couldn't find a publisher. I mean, they were all rejecting our products, and so at some point we just said, okay, let's open up a publisher, and we were right with the products at least.
Now we're a publishing house.
Ha on them. Yeah, I'll just be my own publisher. So I really like that. Do you feel like you were thwarted in being authors and directed into business, and you feel resentful of that, or do you feel like that being a business people is actually your path, or that it's distracting you, and eventually you're going to get back to your real path?
I have a good answer for that, because 2 years before, okay, we I don't know how you say in English, but we took some. We say that we took some polls. Okay, when you are always almost reaching something, but then at the last moment it doesn't happen. So it happened to us with a huge publisher in Italy. They said yes to Fabula, and then at the last minute they said no, we're not going to do that. And it was one of the best things that happened to us. I think I don't know if our path is to be entrepreneurs, but it's surely, at least for me, something really helpful that happened. I mean, I learned a lot, and I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, it is so, because in reality we both have had experience in being an author for other publishers in other projects that we have, and it is a different way of working, because of course when you're an author, you don't have all the stress and you just have the pressure of the deadline, and that's it. You don't have team management. You don't have what if tomorrow we stop selling, and how do I bring home the bacon and things like that. You don't have that. But at the same time, I'm sure that I would be doing something for myself that I really like anyway. So luckily, having Sefirot helps us doing something that we like and being independent, and that's what I love about that.
Being independent, I think, is the best part of entrepreneurship. I don't know if you would agree with that, but having creative control. And this is, I really wanted to talk to you both because of being the conflict that people who feel themselves to be artists feel. And this is so many of my clients, including me, that the conflict between art and commerce, and this very fine line between pursuing getting my art or my business or whatever I'm supposed to have out in the world, and combining that with expressing myself without selling out. I think this is the hard piece of where is it really making sure the art is seen, and where is it selling out. And my art is going to look a little different from your art, but I definitely want to come back to that idea as we talk, and that's how do you walk the line between those, and do you feel that the more successful you become, the more you're selling out? That to me is, I think, the conflict of the artist in business.
That's a really good topic. I mean, I have the feeling that we are not selling out. So when we started Sefirot, at first we just had some products that we really liked that we made as authors, and then we wanted to find a way to sell them, so we weren't selling out. But also later on, we decided as values of our company not to build tools or products in general that we wouldn't use. So I mean, it's like I think that you can find a match between what is art, or at least what you really want to do, with something that sells. I mean, it's not that you have to. I actually believe that if you go with what you really want to do without compromises, then you are gonna sell more. That's at least my personal belief.
And
Yeah.
my take is that we have to remind ourselves not to be lazy, because I think that you sell yourself out when you're lazy. That's my take. So when we work on a project, if we put ourselves on the line, then that's not selling out, and it's gonna be successful. That's what at least for me. If I catch myself lazy, then it means that it's not something that I want to really do, and so that's it.
And do you feel the money pollutes the art at all? Because I've hit that before with artists that I've worked with, where they're like, no, this is sacred, and the money, anything that felt like sales would kind of trigger them. You're good with that now?
No, money is just like time, and Matteo can explain that. It's a
resource.
Except for it's a resource you can make more of, unlike time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's better.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to talk a little bit about Intùiti and how I found you, and this I think can lead us to your other products. So during the pandemic, apparently, I looked back at my sales receipt because I wasn't sure when I had bought the product. I just knew I'd had it a really long time, and I don't know how I came upon it. Like, who even knows? Maybe you were advertising. But sometime early in 2020, after the pandemic, I bought a deck, and these are intuitive creative cards is the way they're marketed. And as someone who has read tarot cards since I was 12 years old, I saw them and was like, these are great, because what I loved was that they were positioned as creativity cards, which I think has a little bit of the wink wink from you, Matteo, because they really are spiritual cards and intuitive cards, and they serve all the purposes of that tarot cards serve, but they don't have a lot of the baggage that comes with tarot cards. Tarot cards can like freak people out and like seem like the occult and all kinds of things like that. And even though my clients are used to that from me, I love this one especially. What's good is that these are beautiful and kind of pristine, unique, and that we can use them in a business setting. Like I can bring them into a business setting and use them, and they don't necessarily have to have any of the occult feel from anybody that I might work with who might have an issue with that. So I really loved them when I saw them, and have really enjoyed them, and we use them all the time. I don't actually use them too much at work, but I use them tons in our personal life. But what was the second thing that I want to say about it is that last year you offered a class, and I got the email and I was like in immediately. So sometimes I talk about, and I think this happens especially with artistic souls, that we feel like in business we're not that decisive or we don't know what to do and things like that. But boy, when I get a yes, it is a yes. And when I saw the Intùiti cards, I was like, purchase. When I saw the class, I was like, in. So I feel like that just the intuitive pull of when something is like the right thing. I've Intùiti class was the funnest thing I did last year. Just completely adored it for many reasons. And I think for artists, it's important for us to have things that in some ways don't have a thing to do with business. I can always, because I'm who I am, I can always make it pertain to business. And, here you are on my podcast, are the teachers of the class. But in general, I just feel like, so I wanted to introduce, there are a few things. One is that you made these into cards and that you've gone on to make other cards. The other thing is, as I'm saying, just this kind of like artists need to have things that are just, speaking to the ineffable. I don't know why I want it, but I do, kind of a feeling. And then the third thing is that that turned you into a publishing company. So, Matteo, can you talk a little bit about the creation of the cards and how they ended up? Because I think their origin story is beautiful and wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I was studying at the Polytechnic University of Milan, design, and everybody was talking about creativity, and I couldn't feel creative at all. So I was like, okay, there must be something more, something deeper. So one night I had this idea. It was a sort of a vision, I have to say, and it was like, okay, I want to make some cards to go deeper with your creativity. Actually, with my creativity at the time, and I was lucky enough to find a teacher who could help me along the way, and we took the archetypes from tarot, not to invent anything. Okay. Also because I was reading tarot since I was 7, so I mean, like it was something ongoing in my life, and they seemed perfect. I mean, something rich with meanings that could convey some messages and some powerful incentives to the people that were using them, and so that's how they were born. So it took some years, of course, of developing, and yeah, and then
It took many years.
Yeah, many years,
and
like
many iterations.
2 years, yeah.
And then you've read them for thousands of people.
Yeah, at first I was just trying to use. I printed 100 decks, maybe maybe 50 the first time, and I tried to make like presentations. I was going to restaurants, bars, and giving readings to people, but in a very very subtle way, because I didn't want to scare them.
Yeah.
So and also I didn't actually know what kind of tool I had in my hands at the time.
Yeah.
So it was much more even superficial. Okay. And then at some point I realized that it was actually, as you said, the same power of a tarot deck, but with the fact that people were not afraid of it. So I also tried to go deeper in that, in the way of using it, and I think that's when it came out. Also, the book. I mean, the big manual to learn how to really use it.
Yeah.
And since then, I think I received much more emails of people that are using Intùiti to better their lives, their creative lives.
Yeah, amazing. So if I pulled a card that would represent, let's say, the three of us at the time of this reading, what I love about the way that you teach to read these, I know, right? What I love about the way that you teach to read these cards is that you say, well, what do you see? So, and that the answer is right. And I feel like it helps for artistic entrepreneurs. I feel like it helps us to trust our intuition. So I see swirling motion. I love that a lot of the cards have kind of like the earth kind of grounding you. Like there's a horizon here. But there's kind of some tumult, action, forward motion. It might be the thing that the three of us have in common. I do feel kind of like this joined connection, and that there are more parts to it. I
will say we're trying to send some energy in the world also.
Love it. So what is like the right? This is the 307. So threes are representing belly. So kind of gut, fire in the belly, kind of that kind of element. And then sevens represent?
It's conflict. It's conflict and victory on the outside. So it can be, as I said, to push energy outside, to have a confrontation with the world. No.
So does that resonate for you, Andrea, as something that's going on for you?
It reminds me of what we were talking at the beginning, the fact that when you are in a art field, you put creative energy outside, and then you have to battle against the world, but at the same time putting it outside, it makes energy flowing. I see a circle there. So yeah,
Yeah.
it resonates with that, definitely.
I also
Fabulous.
think, yeah, also for what we were saying about the art and sales, no? If I think I don't know so much about art in general, as let's say I'm not an art critic, but I can feel that you want to buy something artistic when you can feel the energy of the artist that is inside the work, no? If
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you are just attracted to some work of art, and then you give them a value because of that. So I think it's really what we were saying. If you can put your energy, your true energy in what you're doing, at some point that thing is gonna sell. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's impossible to detach the two things. No?
Yeah. So I love that you say that, because this is what I'll tell so many of my clients about, like, you weren't given this gift to be thwarted and broke and living in a barrel under a bridge. Like, you were given this gift for a reason. And if you steward it, and if you, as Andrea was saying, like, really dedicate yourself to doing the thing, then it will find the flow of it. It's a lot about saying no to the wrong things and yes to the right things. And I think it's so much about keying into this intuitive stuff that we're talking about. So someone looking at this card is going to be like, how the hell did you get all of that out of looking at this picture? And I feel like it's so much about saying yes to your intuition, which again is, so I want to go back to what I was saying earlier. What I learned in your class was, like, I could hold up any object and we could do that, but you've really, I would say you've encoded the cards with energy, which comes through in them, and it's meaningful, and it really, I think your intention was to help people unlock their creativity, and a lot of what we talked about in the class was people being stuck, or when we're just a mystery to ourselves. There's so much of ourselves that is unconscious or in shadow, and so it's hard to know. But when we see something like this and we unlock it, it's amazing. So how did you create the picture for this concept? Was that purely intuitive, or were you kind of like intentional? Were you brain minding it, or were you heart gutting it?
It was half and half. I mean, it was mostly intuition plus some principles of Gestalt psychology. So I knew that if I wanted to convey some messages, I had to also to convey them in an objective way. So like, so there are some rules to let people feel if something is moving, if something is conflicting each other or not. I mean, it's okay if it's harmonious. So let's say it was like I tried to visualize some of the images, and then I also I fixed them in a way that was easier to understand, easier to feel.
And Andrea, how did you respond when you first saw the Intùiti cards, and how do you use them now?
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, at the beginning, it was just like a project of Matteo. I didn't really get it, actually, because at the time we weren't living together anymore. We were a little bit more, we took a little bit of distance. We were still friends, of course. But so at the beginning, I remember showing him drawing and drawing those cards, and I didn't really know what they were, actually. And so I think I started actually liking them when we started using them, and I started using them when we started the business together. My first meet with them, it was, I think, with actual Intùiti. It was, I think, when we opened Sefirot. I'm not sure, but I think it's like that, right, Matteo?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So and now we are using them. I use them for myself as well. We use them also to gain other perspective about the company, and for personal matters, of course. So now it's for me the journey was much like a person that buys it because they jump in front of them, and then maybe they sit there for a while, and then you start to discover them. Of course, I'm lucky that I know Matteo, so for me it's I mean,
I know.
I have them always by my side, but it was much like everyone else that has to give time to them. Yeah.
Amazing. So from there, you created, you mentioned Fabula. So what is Fabula? It's
So
also a
Fabula,
deck.
it's a deck of cards that has a very specific goal, that is to help people lay down and check their stories, the stories that they want to write or tell or whatever. So the idea of Fabula, that are much more like a methodology, I would say, is that all the stories that we hear or that we watch movies and so on, they have something in common. And the thing that they have in common are those structure that are much like archetypical structure, that they are just encoded in our, I would say, Western brains, even if there's something of that also in the Eastern fables. And so what we did was to get those things, and we used very well-known and very well-used structures. One of them is the hero journey. Then there's the three-act structure, and there are some principles that are of the structuralism. So all the things that are the stories have in common, and we put them down. And again, the goal is very specific. So you lay them down. They have an order that you can play with, but they are well defined, and then they guide you in creating or analyzing your story. That's the idea.
Fabulous. Now, fabulous. What you reminded me of once in one of your newsletters recently is you said, "Oh, and we took the tool and we actually used it ourselves." And it reminded me, I have a visioning process that I had worked with clients on creating the vision for their business, and I had used it with clients for, I don't know, 3 to 5 years before. And then one time I was like really kind of struggling with where's my business going. And I was like, I guess I should take out my visioning process. And then I used my own process. I was like, this is really good. And it's really great to kind of, they call it in tech software, they call it eating your own dog food, like actually using the product yourself. So was that story about bad or about something else? Which deck was?
Yeah,
was it?
No, the story about our product was about Fabula, I think.
It was Fabula, so you pulled that out.
Yeah, because I was creating the outline for a new book, and then I was like writing on paper. I was kind of stuck because I was keep writing the same paragraph better, no? And I was like, this is not working, and I wanted to to throw away the pages, and then I was like, okay, let's not be lazy. I took out from the wall the paintings, and I attached Fabula. Like in half an hour, I had the outline, and I was like, "This is so easy; it works."
Yeah.
So
we did that with BED as well. BED is another product that serves for business design, business aware design, and then we will speak about money maybe anyway. And we have some side projects ongoing in Sefirot, just like smaller products. And I'm kind of working on them, and I found myself using Excel files, just like the one that we suggest to use in bed, because that's also how we test our products, and we try immersion. So when we're working on any project, we try to immerse ourselves in that. So then at the end, you start thinking in those terms, and then when you have done some things, it's beautiful because you have different visions that are the ones that we like for people to have, and that we like people to have. And so that's how we feel. So now I kind of have the the writer vision and the business aware person vision, and that's beautiful.
It's amazing. So what's the little bit of the roles that each of you plays? So Andrea, would you talk about the role that Matteo plays, and Matteo, would you talk about the role that Andrea plays?
Yeah. So the Matteo is the one that is the most entrepreneur, I would say, in the business. He's always looking for new things, and he's also the one that is checking on. He's the one that pushes me not to be lazy. So not only me, but all the team. Sometimes he's very demanding, but that's a good thing because it pushes you forwards. And I would say that's it. Then for the products he's the designer, of course, so he's much more into the actual use. I'm not speaking about myself, but he's much more into the practical. Is it really helpful for people? For instance, when you have a product, he's able to spot the things that are not so needed. I mean, even if something is very beautiful and very, I don't know, but if for things like bed or things like that, he always asks himself if the things that we are doing are have sense. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're happy about that, Matteo. I don't know if you're happy about what I just said.
Yeah.
We'll find out in how he describes your role.
Exactly.
It's true, so it's okay.
Matteo, how would you describe Andrea and his role? Because you chose. I assume that you chose to bring him in to work with you on because you had already done Sefirot, so you brought him in. What element did you feel that you were bringing in with him?
Well, I think he's very creative, so he's a good creative partner to think the products. So that's why I thought it was he was a nice match, okay, for building Sefirot. He's more detail oriented on the substance, on the content. So when it comes to research, to bibliography, and all the things that I feel like whatever. Okay, he's more. I think he's more detail oriented than me, and that's a really good thing to have to balance. And his role is he's very material, I would say, because he handles all the logistics. So it's a very important role to be sure that everybody, can get their product, and now he's handling, I think, more secondary products that are much more content oriented, and I think they are very suitable for him.
Mm-hmm. Great. So what I hear, obviously, and this is kind of like the filling out of the projects and the roles. And I know you've just brought in a team. So I want to talk for a second about brand, because when you start a company and you're yourself, like, you are the brand is you, and you feel it's kind of like extreme alignment with it. Even though you created a product, there still is that kind of sense of like, the brand is me, Sefirot is me. Like, maybe there's Intùiti, but Sefirot is me. And then when you bring someone else in, does he become your brand? Because truthfully, what happens is the brand now expands into something that encompasses the two of you. And I know you're now hiring team. And so how do you feel that the brand has evolved since, the original time that you started the company, Matteo, and brought everyone else in? And how are you being challenged right now by having team members? Because like, each of them is like a little brand touch point. And that can be hard.
Okay. I think when we opened Sefirot, we didn't care about the brand. So it was we just we made a move that was business oriented, because we found a way to we found a business model. So we found a way to actually sell our products, and that was magnificent. I mean, it was like, wow, okay, we found a way. But then we had to we needed a company to
Yeah.
to put
do
out the
business.
money for the cost and to put
Big
in
money, yeah.
the money for the revenues. No, okay, so we the first 2 years, 1 year, no, maybe 1 year, 1 year and a half, we didn't actually care about the brand. We were more into, okay, let's deliver our products, let's understand how to make everything work. Then we started thinking about the brand, and it was more like a sort of a philosophy that luckily we share, and it's about I think it's about growing. It's about doing at the most what you like and what you want to pursue, and we are trying to give that same feeling also to our team. I mean, today we proposed our team to be hired if they want just 4 days per week and not 5. Okay, in order to pursue what they want and have more time for themselves if they want it. That's something that we. I mean, it's not common in Italy at all, but we. I mean, we want people to work with us to believe in what we are, how we live, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, if working and living is a hell, that's not.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we have to remember that every person, of course, is different, and it's good that is different. So when you bring people in that are not exactly aligned with your thing and with your brand, you also have to ask yourself if this is a benefit for your brand, because of course it's not that we have to sing the same song all together. And so that's the thing that we are learning right now, and that's very difficult because, of course, as you said at the beginning, that's very true. At the beginning it's just you and your business partner, and that's easy because you're discovering everything. You don't have to manage anything apart from yourself. That is quite a lot already. And then when you get a team, well, that's difficult.
Yeah, we're also learning. We're also learning new values. I think while leading the team, because I found myself giving a speech that was because I'm the one demanding. I'm also the one shouting sometimes, especially when if they make me crazy. And I gave a speech saying that we don't allow mediocrity. And I was like, because we are not a big company, what we are doing is, I mean, we give, I think, our heart in what we do, and so we are trying to do something that is helpful and valuable. So we cannot allow a mediocrity that you can maybe have working for I don't know, a client that doesn't really want something higher. No, that happens. So I found myself giving that speech, and I was like, okay, I didn't think it was. I thought it was implicit, no, that we don't do something that we find mediocre. But then with a team, you have to say that, and it's it's also weird.
I think that one of the number one rules of leadership is expressing clear expectations. People disappoint you less when they know what you expect of them. And I know, again, like as an artist, I think we feel not just that there are things that are right, but we feel extra passionate about that. So I wanted to ask a second about passion, because you've talked about in your newsletter about working on your novel finally. And in general, I'll have one of my recent episodes is about a passion project that I started, because I think, especially during COVID, I started to realize that we need to have things that are not just about the work all the time. And we can have, there's life and friends and hobbies and things like that. But what if there's something also that is like, I'm as passionate about it as my work, but it isn't work related isn't necessarily going to be a business thing. It may or may not, but like you have to have, it's just like your partner in life cannot be like absolutely your everything, all your, meeting all of your needs all the time. It helps to have like friends and other people, so you don't put all this undue pressure on a single person. And I started to feel that the business can be that way. Like I don't want to put the pressure on my business to meet all of my creative needs. And so I found other outlets for that. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about like what some of my challenges with that have been balancing time, because part of me feels like any spare time I have, I should be, and creative idea time I have, I should be putting into my work. But then I feel like also all work and no play makes Samantha a dull girl. So what are your passion projects, and how are you finding the time to flourish in those, just as you're giving your employees time, a fifth day of the week, maybe for themselves to pursue something other than work? Andrea, why don't you start?
That's a good question. I start, even if I'm not very down in the path of balancing passion, and especially in expressing passion. But for instance, a thing that comes into my mind is that I really like teaching and having classes. And of course, I have to decide, and I will be deciding that I'll stop teaching, because I'm a teacher, and last year I used to teach. And so I'm deciding to stop that, but I really like that. What I'm trying to do is to, now I'm kind of trying to mix things together, because sometimes I go to class, I give to the students Fabula classes, for instance, or workshops, we as Sefirot did a project about teaching, and I followed it, and that's it. But I at the moment, even if it may be good, so I'm taking notes of what you said. At the moment, I don't really have a passion that is outside of this thing. And when I'm teaching, I tend to relate that to what I'm doing now in Sefirot. So that's good. Maybe Matteo is a little bit more farther in the path of...
further on the path.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good point you make. Like maybe it's kind of like the 7-year itch thing of like, maybe we're really, really, really good with our partner or with our business, until there's going to come a certain time when it's like, I said it during COVID, I was like, I kind of need to see other businesses, So when you say to your partner, I really need to see other people, like I really need to see other passions other than my business. So you started your novel at last, Matteo?
Yeah, but it's like in August, I realized that, because Sefirot is like a big mom for our passion projects. So it's that's also why it's difficult to detach, no? Because it's okay, we're doing.
Because if we do something that we like, our first thought is, okay, let's bring it together in Sefirot. That's the thing. Yeah, sorry.
Good. But then maybe that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. It's a super good thing. But then I was also I want to write, so I've been doing that for a long time, and I couldn't find the time, because then being an entrepreneur is very demanding. Yep. So in August, I decided that I'm going to write 2 hours in the morning, no matter what. And it's almost, I think, 7 months that I've done every morning.
Good for you.
That
is hard.
Even on Christmas, I was
good
even
for
on
you.
Sundays, I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. Maybe it's half an hour one day, but yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Who cares? And I even did that on the flight to San Francisco. I mean, it was morning at some point, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna write 1 hour on the flight, and so it's possible to do that. You just have to. I mean, I was like thinking, if this passion company, becomes something that limits me in doing a passion, then there's something wrong. So I need to find a way to do that. Then it's not always that easy, because then you have less time to to be demanding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to be less demanding on other people and also on myself. But it's
It's a balance.
Yeah. Luckily, we
Awesome.
are not jealous, so that's good.
The company's not yet, you're not jealous of the novel?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I mean, that's part of our vision. That's the same with our teammates. If they want to do something, we are happy that they do that. And just, I mean, even because we know that then they would be better, and that's the same. We
Yeah.
try to apply the same thing to us.
Yeah. Fulfilled people make better team members. It's just the way, especially with creativity. Well, I could talk to you both all day long. I have another 30 questions, but I think we'll save it here for now. I so appreciate you sharing the work that you do together. I love watching what you're doing through your newsletters. I'm going to recommend that everybody sign up for your newsletter. I highly recommend the cards. I'm going to give links to the company and all the cards. Any other things that we should share with our audience of ways to get in touch with you? What's the best next step for them to take if they are super excited about what they heard today?
Well, the newsletter for sure is a really good step. Then, they can follow our Instagram since we finally have a team that
You
is
finally have an
working
Instagram
very
to
hard.
follow.
Because our team is working very hard to keep it alive because it was
Yeah.
dead for years.
Good.
So,
Well, I'll make sure we recommend everybody go follow you on Instagram. So when you get
they
a
can
rush of
do.
American followers, you'll know
Okay.
who.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Nice.
Well, I thank you both so much for your time and for the class. You're an amazing teacher, Andrea, and it was amazing to hear from the visionary. And I hope you'll do more and more classes on this product and all the other products, because it's the best thing about owning the products is being able to figure out how to use them. So that was wonderful. And with that, I am wishing you, Matteo and Andrea and I are wishing you a profitable and joyful consulting business.